The second segment of the Nightly News is brought to you by Labrie Credit Union. Labrie Credit Union. We are not a bank. We are better.
Thanks for staying with the broadcast. The St. Lucia National Emergency Management Organization has warned members of the public that having an emergency pass is not a free pass to defy the rules established to regulate the spread of COVID-19. NEMO notes that there has been a gross misuse of the passes and has called on the public to stop it.
Exceptions to the protocols, such as permission to be out after curfew hours or during a lockdown, have been made for various pockets of society. Essential workers and others with reasons to be out at certain times were all issued passes by the St. Lucia National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO. The passes are issued to enable holders, inclusive of frontline and emergency workers, to perform specific functions and services. As such, strict guidelines are attached to the use of these passes. NEMO recently issued a statement warning that it had been brought to the attention of the organization that in some cases the passes are being used for purposes other than for which they were issued. The director of NEMO, Doreen Gustav, explained why the organization has decided to deal with the situation in the manner they did.
We had that issue with the first lockdown where persons were misusing and abusing the passes. I put out a statement then, but we realize it's continuing to the point that persons are using the passes to go out to social events. It was brought to our attention by the police because persons would say that they have a pass and thought it was okay to use it for that purpose. But just wanted to remind persons that passes are issued for specific purposes, and for that reason we need to ensure that the passes are being used for the purpose for which they were issued. It was just a reminder.
In the statement, NEMO reminded pass holders that use of the passes other than for the purpose for which they were issued represents a violation of the curfew laws of St. Lucia. Such a violation may result in passes being cancelled. Gustav explained that the process to get a pass will definitely be more thorough next time around.
We have put a team together to review all the passes as they come in. We will be looking at it closely, and again, we are informing businesses, organizations that will write on behalf of their members to note that we have been using the name of the organization on the pass other than the person's name. Yes, the person's name will be there, but the organization's name will be on that pass, and they will be responsible for ensuring that their workers or the persons that they have written for the pass on behalf are using the pass for the purpose for which it was issued.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force has been advised to ensure strict compliance with the passes and to confiscate passes which are being used other than the specified purpose. Additionally, the police may also exercise their duty to take any other action which they deem necessary against individuals who violate the conditions under which the passes were issued. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Meanwhile, the Christian community too has come on board and supported NEMO and has asked members of the public to reflect on what they are doing to assist with overcoming the challenges presented by the pandemic and do more wherever they
Many continue to lament the toll that the protocols put in place to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19 are having on them and their social lives. Recently, the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, expressed concern that members of the public are abusing and misusing passes that have been issued for emergency use and to assist essential workers. NEMO explained that passes can and will be confiscated and revoked if such behavior persists. While NEMO is soliciting the cooperation of the public, the Archdeacon of the Anglican Church, Christian Glasgow, has called on the populace to do a deep introspection of what it is they are doing to ensure that the pandemic is foiled.
There is really a mammoth abuse of the use of those passes. A number of people are on the road driving when they do not necessarily have to be there, but utilizing the fact that their vehicle has a pass. And in a number of instances, it is simply to pursue their personal recreation and otherwise.
On Wednesday, Glasgow expressed his support that NEMO withdraw passes for lawbreakers and expressed disappointment in the populace for abusing an initiative that was introduced to make life easier for them.
What sacrifice are we willing to make as people living here in St. Lucia? What sacrifice are we willing to make? This pandemic is not going to go away just like that. All of us, every last one of us, Tutmun, must make a sacrifice if we're going to control this.
Glasgow has called on members of the public to reflect on what individual sacrifices that they can make to ensure that the spread of the virus is curbed. To date, St. Lucia has recorded 10,852 confirmed cases of COVID-19 on island and 169 deaths. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Health officials in Grenada have now recorded the highest number of COVID-19 related deaths since the first outbreak of the virus over a year ago. There have been 12 deaths within the last 24 hours. With the climb in numbers, health officials are concerned that infected people are opting to stay at home, and in some cases they are self-medicating. We hear more in this GBN report.
12 COVID-19 deaths in the last 24 hours, the highest number documented in Grenada since its first outbreak in 2020. The death toll on the island is now 75 between the ages of 18 to 103. Grenada has 2,260 active cases, 9 of which are imported, and 2,251 are locals. 72 people remain hospitalized. Senior Medical Officer Mayana Charles says most of the fatalities occurred in the community.
Now, as you mentioned, Grenada has recorded 75 cumulative deaths of COVID-19 and 12 in the last 24 hours. This is indeed an alarming number, but of the deaths we recorded in the past 24 hours, some occurred in the community, so persons who would have died at home, and some occurred in the hospital. And most of the deaths, again, are in persons who are not vaccinated.
Families are given a 72 hours time frame to bury their loved ones, far from the norm when it comes to saying goodbye. Health officials continue to advocate the need for the infected population to reach out for help before their conditions worsen, as waiting can lead to death. Charles laid out some of the signs they should look out for when the situation becomes extremely serious.
That anybody who is at home and are experiencing the warning signs of severe illness, please seek medical attention immediately. Because we have seen this. Persons are staying home until things are really, really dire, right? And some persons are not even seeking medical attention. So I want to reiterate that. And some of the warning signs you need to look for: persistent pain or pressure in your chest, difficulties breathing, new onset confusion, so persons not knowing where they are, they cannot recognize their family members, those sort of things. Dr.
Charles also discouraged persons from self-medicating with drugs that are not approved by the WHO. She says if they do it, it is at their own risk.
Our stance has always been to promote evidence-based interventions. We would not solicit or promote any intervention for treating COVID-19 that has not been approved. And ivermectin, sadly, is one of those. So persons, the Ministry of Health does not solicit the use of ivermectin, and persons who are taking this medication, I'd like to discourage them from that. And they're doing so, sadly, at their own risk, because the medication in itself has side effects.
The doctor was speaking on GBN's To The Point program with host Blossom Alexis Welch. For GBN News, I am Rena Per Thomas.
CARICOM member states will be observing Caribbean Week of Agriculture, the CWA, set to commence on the 4th of October until the 8th under the theme, Transforming Our Food Systems. CWA is a forum which allows for agriculture ministers, planners, regional organizations, and key regional agriculture stakeholders across the region to discuss issues affecting the agriculture sector. Chairman of the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, Ignatia Jean, shared key points to advancing the region's agricultural sector.
The agriculture sector is undoubtedly one of the more fragile sectors and requires delicate care to transform the sector. As part of CARICOM's calendar, the Caribbean Week of Agriculture, CWA, is slated for October 4th until October 8th, 2021. Throughout this week, agricultural ministers, integral stakeholders, and regional organizations plan to discuss the issues affecting the sector and how they could be overcome. Chairman of CARDI, Ignatius Jean, in his address at the official CWA launch, highlighted some of the issues which are currently affecting food systems in the region, which have altered many aspects of food availability and consumption.
This year's theme, Transforming Our Food Systems, is indeed very relevant and timely, as the region's food supply chains and agriculture industries have been hard hit by COVID-19 pandemic. The resulting fallout from the crises have led to unemployment, price fluctuations, surplus produce, and a shifting in consumption patterns from perishable produce to highly processed foods.
The adverse effects of climate change are currently impacting the Caribbean, and the agriculture sector has been hardest hit. Jean said that these natural disasters are worsening the situation.
Further disrupting an already fragile food system was the occurrence of several natural disasters across member states. Droughts in Belize, the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, floods in Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, and the recent earthquake in Haiti. This double crisis have impacted livelihoods, food and nutrition security, and pushed already vulnerable families further into poverty.
Jean reiterated that the agriculture sector is fragile and a new, more innovative approach is required to solve the ongoing issues.
The Caribbean food systems are vulnerable. Regional stakeholders must urgently think or rethink the way we produce and consume food. Clearly, we cannot continue with the business as usual approach. In rebuilding and repositioning the sector, focus must be placed on improving productivity, access and availability to safe, nutritious food, climate proofing, preventing food wastage, harnessing digital technologies, and value-added product development, amongst other areas.
Jean emphasized that CARDI remains committed to supporting efforts which will result in the development of the agricultural sector. Reporting for the Hot 7 Nightly News, I am Karim Nelson.
The Denia Revere Combined and VA4 primary schools have received 4 state-of-the-art desktop computers as part of a Back to School Together initiative put on by Accel Finance. The regional microfinance institution made the donations on September 17th as part of their Back to School Together initiative. Since the onset of the pandemic, many students and schools have faced various challenges to adapt to a new normal. Some of these challenges include students facing the possibility of falling behind simply because of limited availability to resources required to keep up with the school's syllabus. The acting principal of the Denia Revere Combined School, Lynette Alfred, expressed much gratitude for the desktops and book covers from Accel Finance. Accepting the donation on behalf of the VA4 primary school was the school's information technology coordinator and teacher, who said that the gift would be put to good use. Access to computers remains a challenge for many schools and students despite the increasing need for computers in their education. A 2-year initiative referred to as the St. Lucia Connected Activity will be launched on Friday to strengthen digital literacy among St. Lucian youth by equipping educators, students, and at-risk youth with the requisite skills to effectively utilize digital tools and platforms in both the classroom and a virtual learning environment. And this is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. There's more after this break.
The second segment of the Nightly News was brought to you by Labrie Credit Union. Labrie Credit Union. We are not a bank. We are better.